Well, good evening. Once again, trying to video out. Definitely got to respond to Andrew. I know you talked about your community group, church, basically having some issues trying to figure out whether or not it is you should proceed or not proceed based on how the group is going. And I can understand exactly where you're at because I know I came from a church. It's been 5 or 6 years ago. We were basically trying to start some outreach ministry, different things, and basically the leadership of the church felt as if that was their concern, their need. They were supposed to start, begin, or end programs like that, and have the congregation assist. And I know that you said, in James 3 about leaders taking on that responsibility and that you will be judged more strictly. And I truly believe that people who teach or take on leadership roles are, in a sense, asking uh, God, hey, judge me harder. I accept this role and I want to be taken more seriously, and I accept the challenge to be judged even more strict than what I typically would be. My advice in this situation is, and I know this is a tough one to actually stick to the group because the textbook does talk about it, and I know you referenced to Johnson and Johnson uh, about the high authority members uh, usually do most of the talking, which is basically pretty much how the meetings go anymore. You have either the preacher who's actually your spiritual leader for the church. I mean, he should be the one doing a lot of talking. But on the other hand, the church that I'm in now is we have a pastor who is very passionate about what he does, but yet takes on more work than what he can handle, which in turn actually is detrimental to the congregation. He's trying to do so much uh, that he is exhausted. I mean, past 2 weeks, basically the rest of the leadership committee, the board, sent him on a 2 week sabbatical, basically just to give him some time off. I mean, he basically takes some vacation time throughout the year. I mean, he gets paid to do that. But on the other hand, during the week and stuff, he's working so much toward trying to, make the church better, bigger, stronger, however you want to look at it, that he does, he just, it's, I guess, being a pastor is a personal job. It's not an 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. It's a 24/7, 365, and he does take that job quite seriously. And I appreciate that in him. But on the other hand, the old saying goes that 80% of the work's done by 20% of the people. The problem is the 20% that are doing the work are generally, uh, they make the job out to be, well, if I want it done right, I got to do it myself, or, which is basically how most of us were probably raised. I mean, I've heard that story 1,000 times from my dad. But what I would suggest is, trying to figure out how to get your pastor, preacher, whoever it would be, to maybe take a step back, kind of delegate some authority, some responsibility to some of the people that he trusts, because there have to be people around him that he would trust in order to grow the church bigger than what it possibly or what it is at this moment. If you don't have a good group of, or a core group of followers, a core group of people that are ready to step up and take the next challenge, meet the next challenge head on, then maybe there isn't that future. But from what you've talked about over the last year or so, I mean, I see that your passion is there, and like I said, I don't know what it's going to take to get it, into his head that you guys do have the power, uh, possess the skills and the knowledge, biblically, and to take the church to the next level. So what I would suggest is, like I said, try to figure out how to set him down, and if it's the whole group, try to talk to him, and explain to him that, you guys want to be a part of the future, and it's going to take every one of you there to create a future for the next generation to leave on, because, as we build churches and make churches better, we have to always remember that the next generation is the one who's going to lead us into the future. And for every and it only takes one generation missed, and that's the end of the church. So I would suggest talking to him, trying to figure out how to get to that next step, how to get to that next generation to ensure that the church will continue on. Uh, Thanks a lot. Have a good evening.